Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Yes, it is Lost in Science.
Excitement.
I'm excited to be here. Are you excited to be here, Manisha?
I'm very excited.
How about you, Claire?
Sorry.
I'm really excited as well, Chris.
You're not as excited as us, I feel.
No, it's because I got headphones on and I can hear you too.
Okay, right. Well, you will be excited when you hear what we all have to talk about on today's show, which is a half an hour of science on your radio phone.
Half an hour of exciting science.
Of ex-science.
Ex-science.
That's not really a word. I'm going to be following up a story that I think Stu did a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
It's a pity he can't be here today. Rest in peace, Stu. He's not dead.
Don't say that.
He's listening at home.
He is listening at home, yeah.
We love you, Stu.
We talked about billionaires, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, and their space exploration ventures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, SpaceX.
The supervillains.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
rich people.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about more rich people doing strange scientific-related things. More Silicon Valley billionaires, and what are they up to?
Yeah,
what you can do
they think they're in their own world.
They
don't
do think they're in their own world, and they're doing some crazy sciencey things. So I think it's worth checking out.
That
we're
is
going to be
definitely
returning
worth
to our
checking out.
Elon Musk and our Mark Zuckerberg, but we're also getting a bit of a guest from a couple of others, like Yuri Milner. You'll hear what he's planning as well. Manisha, what are you doing today?
I am also going to give a bit of an update on a previous story that we had done. I'm going to update our listeners on the state of the devil facial tumor disease. So if you all remember the tumor disease in Tassie Devils, I'm just going to let you know what's going on and what some scientists are up to.
Great.
That's awesome, because there has been some new research coming out recently about it, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some promising outlooks.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
So
Go
good.
little Tassie Devils.
Go Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm actually going to be talking a bit about a new app that's come out, a new app for contraception and fertility, and it's been released by a CERN physicist / app creator. And it's called NaturalCycles, and it's all about using these. Oh, she's created this algorithm that can predict when women are fertile and when they are not, just based on their basal body temperature. So it's some really interesting applied science that has. They're saying it's pretty much just as effective as the pill.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
As a
Preventing,
contraceptive,
yeah.
when human error is not taken into account.
Fortunately, humans never make errors.
Anyway, I'll talk more about that later. But it's
Cool.
very interesting science. Stay tuned.
Yes, space is the place. That is where the billionaires of Silicon Valley are going. Not just to escape us.
Maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, just shoot them off
Maybe
to
not,
space.
Maybe not. Yeah, so as I said, we looked at that a few weeks ago. Stu told us about various new entries in the space race, in particular Elon Musk's SpaceX program with its weird vertical landing rockets, and how he and Mark Zuckerberg are collaborating to send up new internets into orbit and this kind of stuff, which is all very good, but other billionaires are up to things as well. And let's kind of do a bit of a rundown of some of the weird sciencey things that our friendly rich people are doing. In the space theme, you might have seen in April announced Yuri Milner, who is a former physicist, now a Silicon Valley rich guy, has announced, in collaboration with Stephen Hawking, a plan to launch laser-powered nanocraft into space. Did you see this back in April?
No, I didn't see that in April, but can you go into a bit more detail about laser-powered nanocraft?
Yeah, what basically is little tiny spaceships, like really tiny,
Oh,
and then they're going to fire
no,
lasers at. So they put them into space, then they fire lasers from Earth or from Earth orbit at these things, and the pressure of the light accelerates.
Will it push it?
Yeah, we'll push it. And so basically, you don't need an engine on these things. You basically push it along using a laser, and you can accelerate it for a very long time because it doesn't need to carry fuel or anything like that. You're basically blowing it away using a laser.
Does that mean you always it always has to be in a line of vision from wherever you are?
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, so you can accelerate it for a really long time. They reckon they get up to, like, 1/5 the speed of light. And this will be a way to get
pretty fast.
Yeah, this will be a way to get to Alpha Centauri, the nearest, like, star system, in about 20 years. Wow. Which is a long time still. Obviously, 20 years is a long time for a science project. But it's within a human lifetime, clearly.
Absolutely.
Now, you'd be sending little tiny electronic devices on these things. Now, they had to be very, very small. But I think they're hoping that by the time this plan is up and running, there'll be miniaturization will have worked enough that you'll be able to get really good little packages on the spacecraft. You can't slow them down when they get there. You know, you can just accelerate them really fast. So they'll do a really quick flyby. Like 1/5 the speed of light, you're going to go past the star fairly quickly. It's going to be, blink and you'll miss it sort of thing.
And will they be able to transmit information back to us?
Well, that's the idea, is you have to somehow find a way to fit a transmitter on board as well. Yeah, so there's quite a few technical complications with doing that. And there's a lot of skepticism about this whole plan. But it is an interesting idea of one of the most feasible ways of getting to another star system.
It just sounds so innovative as well. Like, no one's really thought about that before.
Which is basically the hallmark of these rich people, I think you'll discover. Okay, so next cab off the rank is our good friend, Mr. Social Network himself, Mark Zuckerberg, and Priscilla Chan, you may have seen. They announced their plan to cure all disease.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative. So,
I mean, isn't that just like, pulling the rug from under the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? Like,
well, that's the obvious.
Shouldn't they just join together and then?
Well, it's a very different approach. Now, this is the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative, which is their thing. This is not its first thing. It's been going for a while, and it's got kind of weird things. It's not exactly a charitable thing for some reason. It's kind of an investment thing. But the announcement that was back in, it was September, I think, they said they were going to build a cross-disciplinary biohub in San Francisco. And they're going to spend $3 billion over 10 years on this thing. How does $3 billion over 10 years sound to you, Manisha?
Research-wise?
Yeah.
Maybe not that much,
It's
depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound.
If someone gave you $3 billion,
if somebody gave me personally $3 billion, I'd be damn happy. But I think for research, it's a bit like,
no, because so Australia,
to cure all disease, maybe it falls a bit short.
Australia's National Health and Medical Research Centre, or SEED stands for something like that, which funds medical research in Australia, spends $800 million every year. So that's easily surpassing what they're going to spend over 10 years. Yeah. America's National Institute of Health has an annual budget of over $30 billion per year. So it's unlikely that these big national institutes have been able to cure all diseases in the time they've been running with much higher budgets. It's unlikely that the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative is going to do it in 10 years with a fraction of the cost.
What are they trying to do with this?
Well, it's more about
disciplinary.
They're trying to think they can change the way it's done. So they're going to get people from all different disciplines to work together. Again, this is not a new idea in science. People have thought this before. I think they're thinking they're going to spark some new way, a new approach to doing things. As you mentioned, the Bill and Melinda Gates, I'm going to compare it with them as well. They spend over $1 billion every year on infectious disease control alone. So, the budget is not huge, but it's more, they just think they've got a new approach that they can do because it's one of those things of, we think we can do it different and better that you hear with the billionaires.
I love it that their approach is to collaborate, but they're starting effectively from scratch and not collaborating with any of the other initiatives that are currently happening, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Pretty much, yeah. And the most outrageous of all, though, this one is not confirmed. This is a rumour. This is our good friend, the Musk dear himself, Elon Musk, creator of the SpaceX program, creator of the Tesla electric vehicle, the Powerwall, the Tesla Powerwall, which stores your solar energy in batteries in your wall. Wannabe creator of the Hyperloop, which is a vacuum-powered mass transit system. You've heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how at the supermarket they put the money in the little tube, they get sucked away? They want to put people in those tubes, like in Futurama.
Oh,
anyway.
Cool.
That's where he got the idea.
So, okay, this came from a profile of a different Silicon Valley entrepreneur, Sam Altman, that was in the New Yorker magazine, and it contained the curious sentence: many people in Silicon Valley have become obsessed with the simulation hypothesis, the argument that what we experience as reality is in fact fabricated in a computer. 2 tech billionaires have gone so far as to secretly engage scientists to work on breaking us out of the simulation. Now, Elon Musk has recently said that he subscribes to this idea of the simulation hypothesis. And in fact, in June this year, he said at a conference that there is a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that we're living in base reality. So essentially the idea is that we have got exponentially increasing computing power. It should be possible for us to one day simulate living beings or even an entire planet or even an entire universe inside a computer. And once this is possible, then we will have simulated realities inside computers. Now, there would be a lot of those because there could be a lot of computers. So he's basically saying that there are going to be many more simulated realities than there are real realities, so it's more likely that we're in a simulation rather than the real one. So
that last step at the end,
Yeah, that's where
sort
you
of
lose me.
seems like a big jump.
it is a big jump. Look, he said that, it says tech billionaire. It sounds like it could be him. Everyone's assuming that it's him, is one of these tech billionaires. But notice that in that quote, they didn't say they want to test the hypothesis. They said, break us out of the simulation. So if we are living in a simulation, what does it mean to break
It's
out
like
of it?
the Matrix or something. This
Yeah.
is so bizarre.
So the problem with the simulation, with the hypothesis, one of the problems with it is what happens if we are in a simulation, then what happens when we reach the point where we are able to run a simulation? You've got basically a simulation inside a simulation. You know, at some point you've got to reach a point where the computer cannot handle the strain of these simulations inside simulations. And that would crash the system, you have to think. So is it possible that Elon Musk and co are trying to deliberately crash the system?
They're trying to control or delete us all.
Yeah. Are they trying to destroy the universe to see what's outside the universe? So they can actually break us out of the Matrix. I don't want to say that Elon Musk is definitely trying to destroy the universe, but this is a distinct possibility.
This is
Anyway.
because this space project's not going very well,
Yeah,
isn't it?
he's just going to destroy the universe.
He's just going to destroy the
So
universe.
I think if you doubted that he was a supervillain, I think we have some evidence for you. Now, look, this is all rumor in here, so he may not be trying to destroy the universe, and it's an interesting idea, the simulation hypothesis. Let's just hope that he doesn't succeed.
Okay, so a while ago we did a story on devil facial tumor disease, which is wiping out Tasmanian devil populations. But just as a refresher, the devil facial tumor disease is an infectious cancer that is widespread amongst devil populations. This cancer typically appears on the face of the individuals, and it's actually one of the world's few infectious cancers, which means that it's transferable like an infection. In the case of this particular tumor disease, it's passed through contact, particularly through biting. And it's actually the whole biting aspect that's thought to be the reason that this disease has become so devastating and so widespread, because our Tassie devils actually use a lot of biting in a lot of their social behaviors. So they bite for everything. They bite when they're mating, and they bite when they're just socializing and playing.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. It's like
Yeah.
their handshake. Or like waving. Yeah, they bite when they're acquiring territory. Yeah, they bite all the time. So because they're biting all the time and this disease is transmitted through biting, this is what researchers are rationalizing as the reason why it's so widespread. So this disease, there's a lot of support behind it in the idea of trying to find a vaccination for it or trying to make individuals immune to it, because it's actually quite devastating. It's driving the population to extinction, because once a population has it within the population, there's a 100% death rate after 12 months of transmission. So it's really, really devastating. But there actually seems to be some sort of glimmer of hope, as it seems that there's a population in Cradle Mountain where the growth of the tumors is actually receding and the transmission is declining. So there's some sort of immunization happening in this population, which seems to be somewhat natural. So the suggestion is that the individuals in this Cradle Mountain population are developing an immune response. And the way that it kind of came about, or the way that the researchers have sort of realized that this might be happening, is because some individuals appear to have the tumor at one point in time, and then the tumor started to get much smaller until they no longer had the tumor anymore. And
Wow.
Yeah. So just
Is that the first time they've
observed that
seen
in
that
natural,
in the wild?
in the wild. So this
Yeah,
population
wow.
just like somehow, for whatever reason, it just the tumor started to recede, and then the individuals were healthy again, and they were healthy enough to breed, and then they were able to pass along those genes to the next generation.
Holy moly, cool.
But then, unfortunately, the tumor did win out in the end, because those individuals got it the second time around and they died. So there's something weird. So maybe there's strains of these tumors or something happening, but they got the tumor again and they died out. But the interesting thing was that they were able to breed and pass their genes along, because then in the next generation, more and more individuals were immune or were able to fight off the tumor and again breed and send maybe those genes along. So it's not really yet known if it's a genetic sort of causation or if there's a mechanism behind it. But that's what the researchers are actually starting to focus on now, trying to figure out what makes this population different from other populations and how we can bank on it and help our dying populations.
I guess there's a worry, though, like if the devils are evolving immunity, that then the cancer could then evolve to be more
aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's like any other sort of infection. Like that's just kind of the battle of fitness that everything kind of goes through. But as it's still a bit promising, because in this particular population at Cradle Mountain, like the statistic around the tumor is, or the disease is that 100% of the population dies once it's exposed to it. But this population is actually persisting at 10%. Okay. So even though 10% may not seem like a lot, it's just at least 10% of their population is making it to the next generation, and it's making it there naturally. So there is something interesting happening there. We just don't know yet what's going on. And then also we have researchers that are developing their own vaccinations. So we earlier this year, we had 2 populations released into the wild that had received a vaccination that was created by researchers. And so now we're trying to see how those individuals are persisting. Unfortunately, a lot of those individuals were then hit by cars in the national park, which will sort of decline their rate of success because they won't be able to breed. But we'll see what happens with the other ones. But there is something happening, and there's some sort of immunization or vaccine that seems to be working for these little guys.
That's awesome.
Across Australia on the Community Radio Network, you're listening to Lost in Science.
So when it comes to methods of contraception, there aren't really a lot of options. Women can either take hormones like the pill or intrauterine devices to regulate their cycle so they don't pop any eggs and become pregnant, or use a more physical barrier like a condom. But hormonal contraception presents a whole lot of other issues for women. For some women especially, the possible side effects can include increased migraines, mood swings, depression, just to sort of name a couple of things that you can have.
There's been some research recently about depression related to the pill, hasn't there? Some reviews and things. There
was a significant increase for women, like women on the pill and off the pill. There was significantly more women who were on the pill who had clinical depression.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got things like physical prophylactics like condoms. Although being the only way to remove the risk of STIs, aren't favoured by couples in long-term relationships. So, if you don't want to use hormones and you don't want to use condoms, there aren't a lot of options out there for contraception. But, as physicists do, they sometimes come along to save the day. Isn't that right, Chris?
They think they can do anything. Physicists like to see some other problem that's unrelated to physics and go, we can solve this.
Well, I think that's what's happened. So a physicist who used to work at CERN on the Large Hadron Collider, who was instrumental in the discovery of the Higgs boson a couple of years ago, she's come up with another way to use contraception.
Right.
And it's pretty much by applying science to a very sort of traditional method of contraception. So Alina Berglund Scherwitzel, that's a name, what a great name, has pretty much just taken a break from her subatomic particle discoveries and turned her mind to developing this algorithm and then an app to go along with it, which uses women's temperatures to tell if they are fertile or not fertile. And the app is called NaturalCycles. It isn't the first fertility app that's out there by any means, but the algorithm that Alina's come up with, it works so well that it can predict if a woman is fertile or not with 99.5% reliability. So, and I will get back to this later, but what were we going to say?
I was going to say, I want to know what kind of studies they've done.
Yeah. So They have done a couple of studies in the European Journal of Contraception and Reproductive Healthcare.
Okay.
So there have been 2 studies. One has been on the effectiveness of the algorithm and one to actually determine whether a woman is fertile or not.
Okay.
And then the other study they've done has been actually taking the data from the first sort of like 2,000 women who have downloaded the app and then use that real life data to sort of come up with a number of pregnancies that have resulted while these women have been using this as a method of contraception.
Okay.
So there are 2, I guess, different sorts of results that have been presented. One, of the effectiveness of the algorithm, the other one of the effectiveness of it as a contraception once you throw human error into the mix.
And do we have numbers?
We do have numbers. So like I said before, 99.5% reliability, that is the algorithm. Mm-hmm. But when you throw human error into it, it drops down to 93%.
Right.
Yes.
That's
93% effective, which is still pretty good.
It's pretty
pretty
good for not having to take hormones or use a condom.
Yeah, and if you don't have a choice,
yeah.
If you do suffer from something like
migraines
or
that it could make it really impossible. It could make it really impossible for you to take hormone treatment.
Yeah. So how does it work? Does it
Yeah, I know, because, like you say, it's probably music to a lot of women's ears, and it almost sounds too good to be true. So
how does it work?
Yeah, so you download the app. You have to have your thermometer ready, and you input the date of your last period. And every morning you wake up and you take your temperature before you get up. So that's called your basal body temperature.
Right.
And from this information, the app then works out your day of ovulation, and then using the algorithm and using, I guess, like key biological sort of variables about, the different follicular cycles and ovulation cycles of a woman's period and menstruation and that sort of thing, they can then work out when you're going to be fertile and when you're not.
How many cycles do you have to input in before it gets to be reliable for you? Because every woman's a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not quite sure about that, but I think they always err on the side of caution. Mm-hmm. So your non-fertile days would be shorter, and then the more input you give it, the more non-fertile days you get.
Yeah.
So the way, I mean, unsurprisingly, there's a bit of science behind the app, and it's all informing the algorithm. And understanding the basic sort of female biology is the first step to understanding how the app works. There are 2 external observations that can be made, and when you sort of put these 2 observations together, they provide a pretty strong indication of ovulation. So first of all, the overall body temperature of a woman rises just after ovulation. And secondly, a hormone called luteinizing hormone surges 1 to 2 days prior to ovulation. So this can be measured independently of temperature using P-sticks, and you can input that into the app as well. So if you've got that piece of information, and then you're measuring your temperature every day, so you can measure any differences in temperature, then you start to get an idea of exactly when you're ovulating, and then you can work out exactly when you're fertile. So I think you're fertile for 6 days before you ovulate. And then,
we'll go with that.
Yeah.
So how much does temperature vary by? I'm curious.
That's a really good question.
Because it seems to me that that's kind of where part of the thing where human error can come into it is getting that
proper temperature.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be, you said, before you get up. So it's intended to be sort of like your resting state.
That's right.
Your complete resting
basal
state.
body temperature. Yeah. Yep. So that has to be constant. Otherwise, there's
or
so much variation.
So I reckon what's going to happen with a lot of women is, I didn't put my thermometer on my bedside table.
Yeah.
So I've got to get up, go to the bathroom, and grab the thermometer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even in that, you're going to really raise your body temperature just by the fact that now you're awake as opposed to being asleep.
But also any errors in using the thermometer and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So just for, like in terms of the app and the graphic display, so you input this data and then it'll either give you a green day or a red day. So red day means you're fertile and a green day means you're good to go, so to speak. Exactly. And that's all the biology and the...
I guess the biology sort of stands true because this is the same sort of stuff that fertility specialists use. Like when you're trying to have a child, they tell you, like, these are try within this week or try within these.
Well, I was thinking this
days.
is the other side of flip side of this thing. It could be used for that purpose as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. You could use it for either purpose,
Yeah, so the
just
red
as
could
effectively.
be your green light.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Is your colour blind?
Oh, imagine it was just great.
Oh,
Every day's great.
Don't even. Oh,
What do you
God.
do? I don't know.
Hopefully there's a symbol as well. There isn't
happy
just...
face or a sad face.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like a little animation.
Man.
An animation. That's interesting. That can go in a lot of directions.
But
Sorry.
But looking at the data from the research papers, one thing does become clear. So in the research paper where they looked at the 2,000 women who had started using the app and they analysed, who got pregnant and who didn't, there was actually this massive dropout rate of the women using the app. So the researchers, they didn't recruit the women specifically for the trial. They just collected the data from willing women who wanted to use the technology. But they found 34% of women who started using the app dropped out in the first 3 months, which suggests to me that, women lose motivation or, there's something
it
going
makes
wrong
sense.
there.
It's sort of like there's also that, like, recent studies have been showing that fitness apps aren't as great because people aren't, like, actually logging what they eat or logging their all of their fitness.
That requires you to do extra work,
Yeah, so unless it's prompting them, I think it's that they're really not likely to use
Even
it.
Pokemon. I mean, I've stopped using Pokemon.
Yeah, me too. And
You guys were crazy about it when it first came out.
Yeah, maybe 3 months is just that time that people get excited about a new app, and then it just sort of like something else comes along and you start going with that.
Particularly if it requires that discipline of every day.
Yeah.
Like you said before.
Like this is it's sort of, well, not sort of, it's kind of or not kind of either. It's important. It's an important thing that if you're
trying not to get pregnant, it's a very important thing.
Or even if you like on whatever side of the coin you are on, like this is something that really takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, and the other issue is what I mentioned at the start. So you've got the 99.5% reliability of the algorithm, but when you put human error into that, the effectiveness of the app as a contraceptive drops to 93%. So
do you know how that compares to, say, the pill?
It's a lot lower than the pill. I think the pill, if taken directed or taken as directed, is up in the high 90s. Yeah.
But we should compare the human error
side
for
of
both that as well, shouldn't
it's
we?
meant to be effective if you take it every day at the right time or whatever.
Yeah. But even so, I think it's a pretty interesting technology and pretty amazing applied sort of science that's going to be pretty valuable to a lot of women as both a contraceptive and, as you said, as a way of falling pregnant. But I would certainly think twice and think about how committed and organised I was as a person before I decided on to
just
use it
relying
as
on this.
a contraceptive. Yeah. But honestly, anything that's giving women more options based on real science and clever mathematics is a bloody good idea.
I think so too.
That's all we have time for today. Lost in Science is recorded at the studios of 3CR in Melbourne. It airs across Australia on the Community Radio Network with the support of the Community Broadcasting Foundation. We'd love you to get in touch with us. Please email us at lostinsci@gmail.com or look us up on Facebook. We are Lost in Science on 3CR. We are also Lost in Science on 3CR on Twitter. You can also go to our website at www.3cr.org.au/lostinscience where you can listen to our podcasts, or you can just listen to us at the same time on the radio next week when Stu, Manisha, Claire and Chris will get Lost in Science.
Thanks for listening to a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online.